Hey, I'm just following orders. Let me get one of those slow motion pictures, bro. One of the slow motion pictures.
You gotta shoot at 60 frames per second.
Come on,
They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it post shit. You see me, they like, ooh, chemo shopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. Coming up, I'm about to bust shit out. They see me, they like, ooh, chemo shopping. I'm on my body, real niggas right beside me. Damn right, I brought my army, going up like a rocket. Can't nobody stop me. These niggas garbage, so watch your mouth, boy. Coming all black, slithering house, call me mouth, boy. I'm off the hip like a cowboy. I'm a king, you should bow, boy. Shorty like that, man, you cut up. Nothing I can handle. 144 in the booth, going Rambo. Niggas do you dirty like a stick in a bando. That's why I play the corner like a bum with a banjo. I'ma lead by example. Ooh, chemo sabe, got this bitch off the hand, got the juice, got the drip, about to hit the bitch with the salt. It ain't rap, it's assault. Can't taste a bitch unless you with the coke. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it post shit.
One way, one way, one way, one way, one way.
Coming up on my divorce.
I do it how a veteran be. You better than me. I'm Reggie at the edge of the key. It's all money, no honey. Think you settle and see. You locked up, fucked up, and it's back to the streets. It's One West. You can check the residency. I reside with soldiers died on the soles of their feet. Cause there's death before designer. Ain't no coward in me. Cause I'm cold as a bitch's shoulder. You ain't calling a week. Get the cooking on this beat. Hope you like it well done. Got them killers rolling with me and they all red rum, red rum, red rum. Got you fuckers scared some. Get the banging on this beat till my fucking head numb. Black Glock, red drum, black and yellow air ones. Homie, you ain't got a vest. I suggest you wear one.
Told these niggas we was going up. They was doing a lot of talking. Now these niggas ain't saying shit.
Feeling like a legend in this shit. Lil nigga, I'm past veteran. Never feeling third. Lil nigga, I'm past second. Guns, I gotta have them all like Ash Ketchum. Shotty break a nigga ribs up like his wife left him. We all stepping. Kill you with kindness cause I'm dead nice. That 5'7" put you 6 feet, not talking height. That judge giving out 5, but you doing life. These hands are rude GPS. A mean right. That's mean right. We build different, you know the vibes. And we stamped it authentic, we notarized. I keep a 144 because I know a cod. Noah's Ark, you know I'm with animals when we flowing by. We back again, no cap, when I'm with Cap again. Yeah, they say they want smoke until we matching them. Everything righteous, so you know when we get back at them, you get hit up with a K, but no acronym.
They say they wanna hit that raw shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach shit. Cause if they make the wrong move, it post shit. You see me, they like, ooh, chemo shopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gon' stop it. They say they wanna hit that raw shit. Coming up on my divorce.
Take a second, we reflecting with the light, but this the life, I fucking love it. Wouldn't trade it to be white, now that's alright. I got the right at first, the devil's redefining words.
Someday you'll pay the price.
No, I don't break a fold, I need and bake the dough, then recreate the flow. They think they making though what they
they forsake is so essential. Over lentils, get your issue. Guess who's on this instrumental with you? Gives a damn if we was family, view unread and call it spam. I'm not a fan of Antichrist, they slayed the man, I swayed the Tim. Like here I am, the son of Sam is taking shot to David Berkowitz. Pussy. A different discipline existed in this New York state of mind. Say since not no not the actor, but the year we effort. Not one thing in mind to grind until this gavel turns his words to mirth from Babel. Since 69, I follow protocol. This kingdom built on guy bones, so I can't love Esau, and I can't fuck with y'all. I ain't gotta say it twice, you vouching for the enemy, but look, my father ain't have a father cause of dope. I'm anti-politics cause Christ died from a vote. How the richest nation locked the homeless up for being cold. How ironic they relating smoking weed to getting stoned. You trim your ways and seek they love. I'ma bring this sword back wet with a vest dipped in blood. Niggas giving up when they don't even give enough. Going nowhere fast, niggas always in a rush. I give them love cause my brothers lost. Christians eating, watch they brothers starve. No way I can serve another God. I give my love cause my brothers lost. Christians eating, watch they brothers starve. I can't serve another God. Cold-blooded.
All right, let's clap it up. Let's clap it up. Damn right. Damn right. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Barak Thumper, God, if you could, just turn these lights inward just a little bit more above the Shah. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Barak Thump to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah to the sisters. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street out of Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahanna. We are not affiliated with no other Israelite group or Christian organization, and we teach the truth according to the Bible. And that's that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the real ethnic Jews, according to the historical records found in the Bible. And in that same Bible, it says our oppressor is the devil. You understand? That's right. And it's very important that we understand that that Bible is a set of records, because all our lives in the Christian church, the Bible has been reduced to a book of fairy tales, a book of bedtime stories, a book of it's this book we used to read in elementary school called Aesop's Fables. You may have heard of that. Aesop's Fables. You understand? We've been taught to treat the Bible like a book of tales, like Johnny Appleseed and Paul Bunyan and all those good old American tales, when really the Bible is the greatest set of records to ever exist on the face of the earth. And to this day, the Bible is the #1 best-selling book of all time. That's not by coincidence. That's not by mistake. It's because every race of people have tried to attach themselves to that Bible. Every race of people have tried to claim the identity of the people in that book. You have Ethiopians that claim to be the original Jews. You have Russians that claim to be the original Jews. You have, forget about Esau in the land of Israel today. He swears up and down he is the rightful Jew, when in reality, that book belongs to the people who don't even know it's talking to them. Right. The people who live in the ghettos, who live in the barrios, who live in the reservations. You understand? The 12 tribes of Israel are blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? And it's time that we realize who we are and accept our identity. You understand? This has nothing to do with religion. So like Shabbat, that crown is glorious too, mighty man. I gotta take my shades off for that one. Good night. Shalom. Go ahead, do it quick. Let me see, Shabbat. Damn. Get that crown in hand. Most high Christ. Good night. I wanted something like that, Shabbat. I'm gonna have to buy that one from you. That's a mighty crown, brother. Straight up. Go ahead.
This is like a centerpiece on top of a centerpiece. So that's what you're saying.
It looked like it.
I got them waiting. I got yours in planning already.
Most high Christ. Listen, y'all go to Shabbat Dayak for them glorious crowns, man. That brother is up in the game on the crowns. And that's another thing, too. Just a little quick sidebar. When you realize who you are as a people, you come back now and have pride in your culture. And brothers come into UPK and learn how to speak Hebrew. They learn that they have skills that they never thought they'd have. You understand? Brothers come in here and start sewing and never sewn a day in their goddamn life. You understand? When we get rips in our jeans, you know what I'm saying? We go and buy another pair of jeans. The brothers come in here and get rips in their jeans and learn how to fix the rip and add pockets and add fringes and put studs. And sisters come in here and learn how to cook the best of meals. You understand? The best sisters are in the UPK. You understand? The sisters in here look the best, they smell the best, they sing the best. The brothers in here are the most masculine, the flyest, you understand? The most honorable brothers on the face of the earth. And that comes from the spirit of Christ found in the Bible, the true spirit of Christ, and not the spirit of the water for leaving this up here, not the spirit of this man. You understand? The spirit of this man is why you have the product of the Christian church. It's why you have everything that's wrong with the Black and Hispanic community. From this is where all the blame lies. Go ahead, Shapap.
You were saying about the fairy tales, and what came to mind as soon as you said that was, how Snow White bit the apple when she fell asleep.
Right.
Well, Eve bit the apple and all sin came into play. You know what I mean?
Right. That's where it comes from. Everything that you thought you knew about the Bible is wrong. Everything you thought you knew about the Bible is absolutely wrong. And we learned it from a people that God says is not a people. You understand? The Lord says our oppressor, he is a people that is not a people. That's in the Bible. And we look to him. We have looked to him for decades, for centuries, on the standard of morality and civilization, when in all actuality, we should be the standard for what's moral, for what's civilized, for what's right. That's why the civil rights movement was such a failure. And I know a lot of you that come from that generation, this is not a slap in the face to, this is not to degrade you and what you did, what you thought was right. You understand? You brothers and sisters had enough courage and bravery to do what you thought was right at the time. The problem is it was wrong and it failed our people. Go ahead, mighty man. No, to water right now, mighty man. The water. You understand? The civil rights movement was a failure, and it was a failure because to ask a people who are uncivilized for civil rights in itself is foolish. We asked a people who would beat our children for wanting to go to school with their children to be civil. We asked a people who would hang black men from trees in their military uniform after they just served the nation for no reason. We asked these people who would hang a sister from a goddamn bridge for not turning on her husband. We asked these same people to be civil with us when their actions have proven that they are uncivilized. You look at the Queen of England and everything you stood for, brother. I was in some news live today on Facebook going in, brother. I left a comment every 45 seconds, brother. I'm not lying to you. I'm in there every 45 seconds. I was like, I'm gonna give it the time. Send. Give it some time. Send, brother. I was in there. They were showing the Queen Elizabeth's funeral procession, and I'm in it. I want everybody to understand just exactly what she stood for. You understand? Having a funeral procession and honoring Queen Elizabeth is nigh unto having a funeral procession and honoring Adolf Hitler. You understand? Adolf Hitler never murdered anybody personally. Queen Elizabeth never murdered anybody personally. But the throne she sat on was attained by illegitimate authority. You understand? It was attained, and that wealth that she got came from the blood and the backs of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? That throne that she sits on, and Black people, the world looks at the UK and Britain, and you're looking at all the ceremony, and you're looking at it like, that is so civilized. I'm reading the comments, brother, and I'm just getting angry and angry. Everybody like, such a civilized, this is so civil, and at least the UK knows how to honor their leaders, and the UK is the last bastion of morality and civilization. And I'm like, this is a front for what really took place for this to happen. The British Empire was one of the most brutal and the most disgusting and relentless empires on the face of the earth. Right. And the reason why that old hag can sit on that throne and live like she's an example now of what a lady is and what is civilized is because her forefathers were absolutely uncivilized. They were barbarians. You understand? And the way they treated the entire earth, specifically God's people. Go ahead, Shapap.
I had looked up that ceremony that they do when they crown the queens,
right?
Or whatever, and the whole ceremony is supposed to be like the pharaoh, living pharaoh of today with the scepter. Like if you look at a pharaoh,
right?
He carried a scepter. He carried a whip. A whip that was always sewn into her garments up under her arm. It looked like a military kind of thing.
You said a whip.
A whip, but that's a whip that was always sewn up under her arm.
Good night.
And then the scepter, and then the 12 stones of the tribes of Israel are in the crown.
She has a literal crown with 12 stones.
Sir, if you really look at it, and then the pharaoh would have the 12 stones on a medallion on his chest. You know what I'm saying? Then the last thing is he would always have a bee. A bee was a symbol in Egypt, and he would have like a bee, a literal bee on his clothing somewhere. And the queen would always have a bee sewn into her garment, but you couldn't see it because she had so much on it.
Okay, and what you're saying is not far-fetched, and really it's the proof that, give me Revelations 12:8 or 11:8.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
When they step up to go on the throne, they're stepping up steps, and that's supposed to be symbolic to when Jacob looked up to the staircase to heaven, because under the throne it's a giant white rock, and that's supposed to be the stone that they sit on top of it, and that's supposed to be the stone that Jacob laid his head on, and he looked up the staircase to heaven.
Right. Once again, everything that they do, they refer back to the Bible. And of course, they bastardize it, you understand, because it's not their culture and it's not their records. But every race of people refers back to the Bible. You probably didn't know that the CIA, who can tell me what is the first instance of spying, the first records of spies on the face of the earth? Anybody know? Bakwash?
I want to say with Jericho.
When Joshua sent spies, when Moses sent spies into the heathen's land to scope out the land, you understand, to scout the land to see who was there and what the land was like. That's the first recorded instance of spies. And the CIA refers back to that instance of Moses sending spies because that's the first recorded instance of spies. Every race and culture on the face of the earth utilizes our records, except us. And it's a shame because we suffer because of it. Go ahead, Shapap.
Was that the story of Joshua sending them to the land of AI or I?
Right. Moses did it, Salakia. I had to check. I believe it was Joshua, like you said, because Moses didn't go into the promised land. So I believe it was Joshua. But that's where the CIA gets it from. Every culture takes what they want from our records and they use it for their people, and they take it and spin it for their benefit. When if the people who it was intended for would use it, you would see us benefit even far more greater. You understand? I'm preaching officer 5,000 Kazak Ahmad. This is the Wednesday night scripture breakdown class. This is I.S.U.P.K, Washington, D.C. If you have any questions, type the questions in the chat. Any questions you may have, type them in the chat. If we got any questions in the room, let's get the questions in the room. No sweat, no sweat. Who got Revelations? Go ahead, somebody read up. Shut.
Swamp, you said Revelations 11:8.
Yeah, what does that say?
It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, read nice and loud if you could.
Okay. Revelations chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. You understand? This is we're making a reference to America today. Our dead bodies lie dead in the streets. You understand? When Michael Brown was killed, I believe he was left in the street literally for about God knows how long. You understand? Longer than if it were a white boy that were killed. You understand? Like many of us in here, ask many black people, we'll do it in here. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a dead body before you were the age of 18. Right. You understand? That's not normal. It's normal to us. That's not normal. For you to see a dead body, and I'm not talking about you going to a funeral. You understand? I'm talking about you're in your neighborhood and you see, I seen a dead man in the street or a dead man on the sidewalk. That's not normal. The lives that we live are absolutely abnormal and dysfunctional. And it bears witness that we are cursed from the Lord. You understand? Because the things that we suffer, brother, any other race of people would kill themselves, or they would kill everything and everybody else. But we suffer them, and somehow we're still able to press forward. You understand? That's because the Lord has given us mercy. You understand? Go ahead, Bakwash.
Kind of slight, sir, if I could. I remember I was on a slave, and I was talking with another brother, and it was Edomite, this female Edomite that was there, and we were talking about, some oppressive stuff, but we were like kind of joking about it.
Right.
Why? Because there was nothing we can do, so it was like we could only laugh about it. And she was like, "How can you laugh about stuff like this?" I'm like, "How? Like this? In order for us to keep from killing everybody and ourselves around us, we got to do something,
right?
And as either go the violent route or make fun of it,
right,
and get some laughs out of it." And she just couldn't understand how that dynamic worked.
Exactly. And okay, this was a heathen woman.
It was a common guy. It was an Edomite woman.
It was a white woman. She couldn't understand how we can make jokes. And brother, what you said is so heavy, Bakwash. I remember coming up in school, and as black kids in school, we would talk to each other about the whoopings we got. You understand? Like you understand? Like every black kid has done that. You be in school and you showing your whelps, and you comparing stories with who had the worst, most traumatic experience. Like, well, I was in the tub. Well, you ain't never got a whooping when you was in the bathtub, and everybody telling different experiences. Well, my mama, she took a frying pan and sent me to the hospital. Like we almost pride ourselves on the struggle that we go through, when in reality, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. You understand? Because you know what else? We was proud to talk about the beatings, but you know what a lot of us wasn't talking about? The molestation that was also happening. You understand? The other things that we were watching happening. You understand? Because our lives are cursed by the Lord. And the proof of that is in Revelations, our dead bodies lay in the streets. Go ahead, Shapat.
Like if I get one here, my grandmother, we ran in the kitchen when she was about to start cooking, and she had just put that black hard skillet on the stove. She ain't turned the burner on. So as we ran in, she was like, "Y'all better get out of here," not in them words. And we started to run out, and then we ran out. She grabbed and turned around and bing, bing.
With the hot skillet.
Not hot. It wasn't hot.
Oh, okay.
She didn't turn it on yet, but she definitely caught it.
Well, she had mercy, brother, because you see what happened to Penny on Good Times. That when they say art imitates life, brother, that was the life for me. It was coming up. Some of us got whoopings just because you here. You a nigga that's eating up all my food. You understand? I work 16 hours, and I don't like looking at your face because you look like your damn daddy. And some of us just got whoopings and abused just for no reason.
Right.
You understand? And that's not far-fetched. That's not uncommon. That's the lives that we live because we are destroyed. You understand? And because we're destroyed, this is one of the symptoms of us being destroyed. Read that scripture again from the top.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Our dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city. America is the great city. There's many precepts that will prove that America is Babylon. America is Egypt. America is Rome. America is every empire that came before it before. You understand? Go ahead, young man Matthew.
Salaki, I just had something to say. I was watching this how evil the white man is. I was watching this documentary about homeless people. And so all the Edomites they showed on there, they was like, well, they're hardworking and they just can't afford to live there and they just trying to take care of the kids. And they showed 3 black people in that documentary and they were all crackheads.
Right.
I said, ooh.
That's once again, that's the propaganda and the proof that once again, we suffer worse than everybody else. You take a white man that's homeless and a brother that's homeless, and you can see that clearly. It would seem that there's somebody against this man. You understand? There's a divine, for all you like that love that word, there's a divine enemy against black people. Because if you put our lives up to other people's lives in the same situations, ours is always still worse. You understand? You look at white men and black men in prison, ours is still worse. You understand? That's because the Lord is against us. The Lord has become an enemy to us because any good parent would chastise their children. And what would seem like hate is really love from the Most High. You understand? It's a hard concept to grasp if you're not a parent or you're a person that doesn't love anybody except yourself. But when you love someone, you correct them. You understand? And that's what's happening to our people. And the sad thing is we're so hard-headed that it takes more and more correction. How many more black and Hispanic children have to die from stray bullets? How many more of our sisters have to be kidnapped and raped and murdered? How many brothers had to sit behind bars? You understand? You had your hand raised, brother.
Yeah, kind of concept sloppy. What young man Matthew is bringing out is so heavy, right? Is because to me that sounds like crafty counsel. Like the so-called black man and the so-called white man, they both in the same situation, but they want to make the so-called white man look innocent, like he's just falling on hard times, and the black man like a criminal, like a villain. That's the crafty counsel that they put out to society to make us look like bad people all the time.
You're absolutely correct. And it's the same crafty counsel that every black and Hispanic grandmother and auntie goes and contributes to. Right. If you go to church, you are contributing to white supremacy. You are the reason why our oppressor is able now to have power and authority over us when the Lord says he's beneath us. You understand? Edom, out of all the nations, are small and greatly despised. And you'll see it when Christ's kingdom returns. Out of all races of people, they're going to be on the bottom, beneath everyone. They're such a disgusting and profane and vile people. And when you really sit and look at it, which I do often, and I did in the world, even as a drug addict, I would sit and say, how the hell is he over me? How the hell are they able to make decisions over us when you watch how they are? You see their habits. I went on Twitter today, and I'm seeing a whole thread on how white people don't use washcloths. And brother, I'm laughing. I'm just because I was like, black people we can laugh at these things and admit they're not the same as us, but then turn around and go to a church that teaches that we all God's children. We all one people. But then you'll get on Twitter and then you say, black people and white people, see, we different. We use washcloths, nigga. Shut up. You understand? Shut up. Because when we go on the street corners and tell you that God says we're different, then now we're racist. But you can get on Twitter and admit that white people, their ways are not our ways. Right. When the Bible said that thousands of years ago. Go ahead, Bakwash.
Sorry if I could. What you're saying is heavy because I remember when I was like year 1 or 2 in East Coast military, I'm realizing the men above me were stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. And that just being there, knowing how young I was,
right,
and how seasoned they were,
right.
I was like, man, I could do a better job than what they're doing. And unfortunately, it pushed me to re-enlist just so I can be in that position, so that other men that was coming up under me wouldn't be stupid like the men that was above me at that time.
Right. Even if you never served in the Esau military, all of us work slaves in here, I believe. You can just go to your own slave, and this is the proof. Look at the people that are over you. You understand? Even if you are an entrepreneur, the people that take taxes out of your goddamn check are dumber than you. You understand? They are morally decrepit. You understand? They're disgusting. The people who sit and judge us in the courtrooms are child molesters, are drug addicts, and disgusting. You understand? Read what you got. No sweat. Go ahead, read what you got.
Start from Revelations again. Revelations chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Just like what Kazaka Ma was saying, right here we are living in Sodom and Egypt. There is no place in the world that actually that perpetrates the LGBTQ community as much as this single nation. You know what I'm saying? Just look around, especially here in Washington, D.C., you see Egypt all over the place. Come on. You just see Egypt all over the place. You look on the back of your money and you see Egypt. This place really right here is Sodom and Egypt. Just like the things that has happened to us back in the biblical times, what happened to us in Egypt is happening to us right now. Just like Officer Kazak was bringing out earlier. How long have we seen Michael Brown's body that was laid in the street? And that was just one that was televised. How many times that we've seen in our own communities, our own neighborhoods, that we seen a brother get laid out and was just laid in the street for hours on end? Sometimes even uncovered. They didn't even put the white sheet over the brother or sister. Why? Because it doesn't matter to the oppressor if it was a brother or if it was a sister. They have zero care for us. They have zero care for us, whether we are standing in glory or whether we are humbled. They have no care for us. Is there anything else on that scripture? If you could, young man Matthew, can you pick it up? Where we at?
Book of Revelation
11 and 8.
Verse 8.
Yeah, read that from the top, Baba Kashaw.
Come. Revelations chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. How many times have we have to say, number one, that this cat was never crucified. This cat was never persecuted. You know what I'm saying? He committed murder. He committed incest. He committed pedophilia. He committed homosexuality. He was never persecuted. Right. A black man like you, that looks like you, was persecuted for trying to get his people off drugs, for trying to get his people out of whorehouses, for trying to clean his people up so that we can once again rule again. And he was persecuted for that. You had something?
You're just speaking on how I say the great city.
Uh-huh.
Donald Trump even brings reference to that when he says the MAGA, make America great again.
He only wants to make when he said you're right. All these politicians, all these quote unquote great men uses uses us. Without us, they are nothing. I saw a video of when the brothers was up in New York on the camp day when the cat was talking to the Hamite, and he was trying to explain to him who we are, the difference between us and the Hamites. And he was saying when they had us in captivity, they were great. They had kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? They had schools that the whole world came to. You know what I'm saying? They were a great nation. They were a great region. But once they sold us into captivity, that transfer of power went to somewhere else. And what have they done since? What great has come out of Africa since they sold us into captivity. Not a damn thing. If you want to say, Obama, he ain't great. He never was great. But nothing has came of Africa, any of these African nations since they sold us into captivity. You have something? Yes. They had a plague that was that was box worthy, box office worthy. That's about it. And even that, no, they had plagues. That was it. Disease, filth. There's nothing coming from them now. After that, the balance of power shifted to the Western Hemisphere, America in particular. Why? Because America had the Most High's laws, had the Most High's chosen people in captivity, and without us, nobody is anything. You know what I'm saying? If Moab had us in captivity, they would be the top power. You know what I'm saying? If Elam had us in captivity, they would be the top power. Whoever in history, you can look out through history, because history tells us that every single nation had a plan, had a plot in our captivity, and those people that had us in captivity, it's kind of like, for lack of better words, Thanos with all the Infinity Stones. Who could stop him? You know what I'm saying? That's we were the Infinity Stones. Whoever had possession over us ruled the world. And right now, the Most High is saying the Most High is our power. He was supposed to have possession over us, but we are rejecting him. And now, because we're rejecting him, everybody else gets to rule the world. With that, I pass the class back over to
the water, Bakwash. The water, and Bakwash, what you said is so heavy, brother. The only reason why America is what it is today, don't get fooled by the propaganda. Once again, Esau, his greatest tool is his ability to lie. That's his greatest asset, is his ability to deceive. That's why we call him the devil. The word devil means deceiver. And if you drink the Kool-Aid of America, you would actually believe that these people got what they have through hard work, through ingenuity, through moral upstandingness, and do it the right way, do it the American way, law and order. When in reality, the only reason why America has what they have is off of oppressing God's people.
Right.
Without God's people, America would be Russia. America would be Sudan. America will be Rwanda, wherever in the world is just disgusting and nobody wants to go. That would be America. The only thing that separates this place from everywhere else is God's people. Go ahead, Shapat.
No, that was heavy. I'll be saying whoever possesses the Infinity Stones has the power, right? Because I was just saying, the Pharaoh wore the 12 stones of the 12 tribes of Israel on his chest. The queen, who our president, whenever they visit the queen, they do a special bow to the queen and the queen only. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't notice, but she had the 12 stones in her crown. And these were people who oppressed us and had us.
I'm gonna tell you one thing, and I said it today in this to this live. The right thing that should happen is they should take that queen's body. They should take that casket. They should take that crown, all her jewelry, all her possessions, and they should put her body and her possessions in some God-forsaken museum in Africa, in the heart of Africa. And if you are a white man or a British man or an Israelite, and you hear that and you think that sounds far-fetched, well, that's what they have done. Right now in white museums and European museums all over the face of the earth, they have our artifacts. They have Africans artifacts. They have East Indians artifacts. Like Shapat said, this damn broad had jewels, you understand, from every damn nation they colonized. You understand? Like, that's why Christ has to come back, because we don't understand the concept of true justice. You understand? Let's get the scripture one more time and get you a double if you could. Whoever had it, go ahead and read, Baba Bashaw.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Spiritually, this place is Sodom and Egypt. Why? Pagaba, what?
Because of homosexuality and slavery.
That's exactly why. When you read the records and you read the records about the kingdoms, the empires of Sodom, Gomorrah, and Egypt, you will find out that these kingdoms were wicked kingdoms. And America are the same in that Sodom and Gomorrah allowed homosexuality. They allowed sexual deviancy to flourish in their empire. And America today is on the forefront of leading the cause to push for gay rights. Right. America allowed legalized gay marriage. America pushes now for LGBTQ rights. You LGBTQ members act like you so goddamn oppressed when you oppress everybody. Everybody's scared to speak up against the LG. You ever notice that? You be at your slave, and whenever you having a conversation and something come up about somebody being gay, and your whole conversation, because you know he a little, you start doing little different things to avoid saying what he is, because you know he a little, or you know you start doing all that little extra garbage because everybody's now scared to speak out against the gay community. Why? Because the gay community is not an oppressed community like they portray themselves to be. The gay community is the white new supremacy. You understand? And that's who really runs that community. And that's what it is. They're using the gay community now to push white supremacy, and nobody's allowed to speak up against them. That's real homophobia. You understand? The moment you're scared to say what's right and wrong for fear of repercussions, then that's homophobia. And nobody wants to tell a man to his face that has on a wig and lipstick, you are a man. Nobody wants to tell a woman that wears jerseys and Timberlands, you are a female, a woman. Why? Because you're scared of the gay community. You are a homophobe. If you are scared of the gay community, you are a homophobe. You understand? And that's the reality of what's going on. And that's why the Bible calls America Sodom spiritually. And the Bible calls America Egypt spiritually, because America has done exactly what Egypt has done, and taking God's people and enslaving God's people. And they think nothing wrong with it. Moses went to Pharaoh and asked for 3 days just so we can serve our God. That was the original request. It wasn't free us. That wasn't the original request. When you go read the records in Exodus, the Lord told Moses to go ask Pharaoh so that we can have 3 days, a three-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's all Moses was asking Pharaoh to have, for the niggas not to have to work 3 days so we can serve our God. And what did Pharaoh say? He said, see, y'all got too much time. You got too much time on it. You start thinking about freedom and all this God stuff. You got too much time on your hands. And he increased our burdens. And that's America. Donald Trump got elected, and he told the police officers, listen, when you arrest them, rough them up a little bit. He increased our burdens. When he said, Donald Trump, he said the black unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been. And he didn't lie. He did not lie. Under Donald Trump, the black and Hispanic unemployment rate was the lowest. But what does that mean? That means most of us was working 2 and 3 jobs to survive. See, you don't understand the games that they play. You hear that and say, he did do something for black people. Nigga, we had to work more. They increase our afflictions. They increase our burdens. And that's why this place is Egypt. And Donald Trump was the embodiment of a pharaoh. He was the perfect embodiment of a pharaoh. Arrogant, proud, bold, you understand, oppressive to God's people. Go ahead, Bakwash.
And that's and everybody's saying, really you can't survive on one income and within a household. But that, that 2 and 3 jobs, that's on both people. Sometimes even the kid has a job.
No, don't remind me. You understand? Because, brother, many of us had to sneak to get jobs or had to lie about our age to get jobs because we seen that mama's income ain't cutting it. Right. You understand? And I'm tired of going hungry. I'm tired of getting talked about at school for these hand-me-down Jordans or hand-me-down Walmart shoes. You understand? So many of us go out now and go get our own jobs. Or many of our parents forced us to get our own, to go get jobs. Like, we live in such severe oppression. And like Commander General Yahanna said, our greatest attribute as God's people is that we know how to adapt. Our greatest attribute and our worst attribute is that we know how to adapt. And it's because we know how to adapt that we just roll with the punches. But certain things you should never adapt to. Certain things you should never get used to. You should never accept. You should never be comfortable with. And we've become comfortable with oppression. We become comfortable with being on the bottom. We become comfortable with serving a God that does not look like us. And we should have never done that. Go ahead, Dawada.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my comment I was gonna make earlier was when you said something about what's her name, Queen, whatever, having Jews from different places that they conquered. I said it kind of reminds you of how, like, how Predator, after he kills his victims, he takes his head off and puts they skull on his belt or whatever. That reminds you of that.
And that comes from what they used to do to our Native American brothers, literally. The United States government in the late 1800s sanctioned murder of our Native American brothers. That's why when you ever hear the term putting money on your head, that comes from the government putting money, a bounty now for the scalps of our Native American brothers. And you had everyday average white people, poor white people now able to go and kill Native American brothers and sisters. And they would get paid per scalp by the United States government. This is the same people who you bayed for civil rights for. You bayed a uncivilized people for civil rights. The civil rights movement was a failure. And that's why God calls this place Sodom and Egypt, because it's absolutely oppressive and disgusting when it comes to what God says. You understand that America does nothing God says. If they did, they wouldn't allow the treatment of his people to carry on like this. Go ahead, Shapat.
That was the exact reason why the term redskin was offensive.
Right, that's where it comes from. Many people don't even know the whole. Whenever you see a Native American head on the logos, you always wonder why do they always just have the head? From the chiefs to any Native American logo you could think of, you'll notice it's always just the head from neck up, and that's a slight to our Native American brothers, because that's what will happen. They will get either their head cut off or their scalps removed. You understand? Let's get give me Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. I want to go into this mark of the beast really quick, because you have a lot of you fake Israelites. You're no different than you Christians. You understand? And you teach the same thing, which is the mark of the beast is a chip. And I'm not going to forget that you all said that the COVID-19, that the 5G towers was the mark of the beast. See, they want to act like they wasn't saying that 3 years ago. I remember 3 years ago, you nutcases were online and you got mad at Commander General Yahanna and the I.S.U.P.K when he told you, don't be scared of the vaccine. Don't be scared of the 5G towers and stop getting high. You got mad when he told you what you needed to hear. And then lo and behold, 5G is not the mark of the beast. We haven't died from getting the vaccine. You understand? We're still here. So clearly you were wrong. And we're going to go into what the mark of the beast really is. You understand? Whoever got it can go ahead and read. Bubba Shaw.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Right. In the Hebrew, I always forget how to say it, but this is when Columbus first sailed to America, which lets you the whole idea that they didn't know where they were going, is a lie. Christopher Columbus knew who he wanted to get and where he wanted to come because he read the records in the Bible, and specifically the Apocrypha. That's why when Christopher Columbus came over here, he brought a Hebrew translator with him. And when the Hebrew translator got to what the island is called now, Hispaniola, which is modern day Dominican Republic and Haiti, when they arrived on the island, the native brothers greeted the brother who spoke Hebrew. And this is what they said in Hebrew. Read that part again.
And thou shalt love thy Lord, thy God.
No, Salaki. We'll start from verse 4 at the top.
Salaki, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Right, keep reading.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Right. These records that we have here, like it says in Romans, were left here for our learning. And we're supposed to teach these records, our laws, our culture, to our children, so it can be passed down. Many of us were taught the wrong thing, and that's why Your father was a drug dealer. You're a drug dealer. And if you don't come into the I.S.U.P.K, your son is going to be a drug dealer. Or your mother was a whore. You understand? You're a whore. And if you don't come into the I.S.U.P.K, your daughter will be a whore. You pass down things to your children, whether you like it or not. The reality is, if you're not in here, you're going to pass down everything that you hated about your parents. You're going to repeat the same thing that you hated your parents and despised your parents for. We see it all the time. You understand? You had so much to say about your father. That nigga wasn't there. He was a deadbeat. You understand? My mama was my mama and my daddy. And then here you are crying. You understand? Because you can't see your children. I don't want them to, they gonna think I'm a deadbeat. Well, yeah, you are a deadbeat because you called that man a deadbeat who was your father, and you didn't get the time to take the time out to understand. You understand what was going on. You didn't take the time out to read these records and find out now that you have to honor your parents. You understand? And not shame your parents. You understand? And honor your parents doesn't mean do what they say when they tell you to do wrong. It means take care of them in their old age. But the Bible also says don't shame your parents. And many of us shame our parents when they did the best that they could. And you're going to find out when you have children that they're going to hate you as well because you don't know the truth. They didn't know the truth. And without the truth, we make mistakes. We destroy everything that we touch. You understand? Go ahead, Bakwash.
I have a precept for what you were just saying.
If you could.
This is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers unto the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Exactly. This is exactly what's going on in the Black and Hispanic communities. Many of you know it as generational curses. Those generational curses are listed in the Bible. The Christian church never told you that the same religion that you worship in that church is a generational curse. Going to church is a generational curse. Yet they talk about you got to break every chain, break the curses. You are free and free indeed, and I'm blessed, saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. When you are living in a generational curse, every time you step foot in that church, every time you pray to that Jesus, that white Jesus, because the Lord told us not to take on other gods. The Lord told us not to worship idols in temples and worship idols on the day that the Lord deemed not on the day that the Lord didn't deem holy. You understand? But we do these things because we don't know our records. We don't know who we are. And that in of itself is a curse. You understand? Keep reading, young man Matthew, if you could.
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
Right.
And
keep going. We're going all the way to verse 8.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand.
We shall bind them for a sign upon thy hand. What does this mean? When the Bible says we shall bind what? What are we binding, first of all? What is this that we're binding? What verse was that?
Verse 8.
Verse 8. Read verse 7 again.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
So once again, we're talking about the laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? So we shall teach these laws diligently to our children. Keep reading.
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way.
Right. Keep reading.
And when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So right here, the Bible is giving an emphasis on how much your life should be revolved around following the laws, statutes, and commandments. It should be your goal. It should be in every thought that, am I following the law? Does this break the Lord's law? And it's really not hard to do. You understand? It's a discipline that you learn just from being in here. You understand? Being in here teaches you the discipline to do it. You understand? And little things. For a brother to come in here and make himself wear all black and not speak when out of turn, for a sister to come in here and wear a dress and cover her head and to not speak out of turn, that teaches you the discipline that you need to now to start to follow these laws. That's why the UPK is the home of the truth. You understand? This is the place where I would call it the reprogramming center. You understand? The brainwashing center, where you can come here now and get reprogrammed to do the things that are right and learn how to do it. The Christian church would tell you we got to, do this and do that and righteous this and righteous that, but they don't have practical steps on how it's done. You understand? Go ahead, Shapai.
It's like if I get a shot at question, verse 8, you was asking the question, what does that mean?
Go ahead.
Start with 7. It's talking about your everyday. You should be talking. It should be in your everyday talk about the law, statutes, commandments, following the Lord's law, statutes, commandments. It should be in your walk. It should be in your everyday, in your house, your conference.
Now, let me ask you this. When you say your everyday talk, what does that mean? And it's the reason why I'm asking you this, because you have to break this down the right way to lead into what's coming next. Because fake Israelites and the white man, the so-called Jewish man, they bastardize their scripture. So what does that mean? It has to be in your talk.
Just your conversation about what's right. It should be in your everyday, like teaching your children what's right every day. When you say something like bad speech is telling somebody they can eat pork, whereas good speech is saying teaching somebody they're not supposed to eat pork. It should be in your everyday conversation, following with the law, statutes, commandments, and it should be in your everyday lifestyle, especially in your house.
Okay, so just for clarity, does this mean that we're not allowed to have conversations that are not about the law? I had to go there because once again, they are fake. There are literal groups and Christians and religious factions that teach that this means that everything you talk about has to be about the Bible. You understand that the whole holier than thou fake woke garbage, when really that's not even the people who teach that don't even follow that. You understand? That's not what this means. It's not literal. It means that when you speak, you're speaking now, making sure that you're not violating the law. You understand? It is not saying that you can't have conversations like you what you gonna do when you with your rib? Yeah, baby, let me tell you about this John 3:16. Like, what are you talking about? It makes no sense. You understand? It's talking about when you speak, you're watching what you say. When you walk, which meaning when you live, the things that you do, you're walking circumspect. You're judging now the things that you're doing, that you're thinking, that you're saying according to the law, to not transgress the law. Go ahead, Bagawa.
With the speech, I'm going to look up the precept. When you speak as the oracles of God. So if you say something about the Bible, it has to be exactly what it is, and your actions have to follow that.
That's referring to the prophets. You understand? This is for the nation. You understand? This is for the nation in general. When you speak, just make sure that what you're saying is the right thing to say. You understand? Whether you joking with a brother and you talk about something, don't go too far. You understand? Be mindful of what you say. You understand? Or you saying this or doing that, you just keep the laws on your mind. Go ahead.
If I may, sir.
We're gonna keep moving for time's sake, if we could, Baba Gashar. Where we at?
It's like verse 8.
If you could, Baba Gashar.
Khan. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 8. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand.
What does that mean? Thou shalt bind them, Shabbat, for a sign upon thy hand.
Basically, it's a mark, not a literal mark, but the ideology of that should be in your mind, in your memory.
Let's break down what it literally says. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon your hand. What does that mean?
Bind is more like a tie. You should be more like a slave to it.
Salaki, does it mean bind them in because you teach them and you're doing it and they're watching you the way you walk, their works will reflect, and what they do will reflect the law.
Go ahead, forgot what.
Bind, I mean, you have total possession over it.
Okay, bind in Old English means to tie. And it's the reason why, once again, I'm going into this. You'll see the Jewish man, he'll tie a little Torah to their hand, and they'll tie a Torah to their foreheads, because they'll read the scriptures. And the white Esau, being who he is, our oppressor, he's carnal. So when he reads the Bible, when he says Eve talked to a serpent, he's thinking of an actual boa constrictor or a python. When we know, as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, in the truth, that that's not literal. It's talking about a person that's low down and slimy like a snake. That's not, can't be trusted. So when it says bind these to your hand, this is not referring to you literally now tying Taurus to your goddamn hands. You understand? What does this mean? Go ahead.
Accountability.
You got to be more than that.
Okay. Well, pretty much you being held accountable for your actions.
That's true, but on to what this is saying, Shapat.
It's a more spiritual thing than calm.
Right, but what is it saying now? If it's not saying tie the law to your hands, literally, what is this saying? Forgot what?
It's like, sir, if I could go a little bit backwards, the hand meaning your power and the power that you have.
Simpler, just what you do. Your hands is what you do. You understand? That's all it means. Your hands are what you do. It's to symbolize your actions, what you do. You understand? You ever heard somebody say, put your hands to work? Your hands are not the only thing that's working. You got to walk to get there. You got to think. You got to see and hear. But the hands have always been synonymous with what you do. You understand? That's why it says bind these to your hands. It's not meaning tie a actual Bible, you understand, a mini Bible to your hands. Is meaning when you go to do things, make sure that your hands now are doing things according to the law. That's all it means. It's very simple. You understand? Keep reading. Young man Matthew.
Come. And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
They shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. What does this mean? They shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. Because if you could pull up a picture of a Jewish man with a Torah tied to his forehead. Go ahead.
Say guides.
Break it down.
Like frontlets, it should be your guides between your eyes, like a guide, the way you walk, not physically, but how you should act, how you should move.
That's exactly what it means. It means when it says frontlets between your eyes, meaning this should be your guide. Now, this should be what you walk to do, what you keep your focus on. Between your eyes is what you look at. You understand? Where you look is where you go. And you should walk in the way of the commandments. You understand? Now, it's a reason why we're breaking this down, because you're going to see in the picture Bakwash is going to pull up. You have people that literally read this and tie Taurus to their hands and their foreheads for a time period. Because it's like, well, the Bible says bind it to your hand and put it as frontlets for your eyes. The same people who believe the mark of the beast is a goddamn microchip. Go ahead, double dot.
What I was going to say is back to what I was saying earlier about being held accountable. What it's saying pretty much, like overall, it's saying these laws and commandments should be taught to you should teach them to your children and apply this to your lives.
Right. That's exactly what it's saying. Somebody give me Ezekiel 9 and chapter 4. And somebody else hold Revelations 14 and 1. If you're just tuning in, make sure you like and share the stream. Make sure you like and share the stream. If you happen to have any questions, type them in online. This is the picture I believe Bakwash is pulling up now. You know how to make it full screen, Bakwash? Okay.
Just a little lag over here.
No sweat.
You said Ezekiel 9 and 21?
9 and 4, if you could. Wow, for sure.
Come. Ezekiel, chapter 9. That's why. Verse 4.
If you double dot, if you could, if you right click on the main picture, it's going to say open in new tab. If you could open it in the new tab and then go to that specific tab. I'm trying to keep up. I know it's a little lag. I'm trying to see. Pull up. For those of you online, what you're looking at is the so-called Jewish man. You understand? He has a belt or leather straps where they tie the Torah to their foreheads. And they do that because of their misunderstanding of God's records. You understand? Because it was never intended for them. And that's why if you go to anybody else outside of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in the I.S.U.P.K to learn about the Bible, you are going to learn a heathen's understanding of God's records. And the heathen can't understand God's records because it's not intended for them. You understand? Go ahead, Dawud, if you could.
Ezekiel chapter 9. Chapter 9, verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh, and that cry for all the abominations.
So now we're reading about this angel now is getting the order from the Most High. And the angel is getting the order from the Lord to go through the midst of the city, the midst of the cities, the midst of the land. Read it again.
The midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men.
And set a what?
A mark.
A mark upon the foreheads of the men. Keep reading.
Upon the foreheads of the men that sigh, and that cry for all the abominations.
Who are the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations? Double duck.
I'll say the men that wish to be forgiven for their sins.
That's true. We do wish to be forgiven, Shapat.
Prophets.
The prophets of the Lord. That's what we do when we go out to camp. Every UPK school on the face of the earth, we go out and do this. We sigh and cry. You understand? The white man is the devil. Christ is black. The Jews are black. We go out and sigh and cry. Precept, cry aloud. Spare not. Reveal my show my people their transgressions. This is our job. This is what we do. You understand? Now the Lord is saying to the angel, put a mark on the forehead of the men who do this. Now, last time I checked, I thought the mark of the beast was a bad thing. So now, what mark are we reading about that this angel is getting the order to put on God's prophets? Read it again one more time, double duck. Tell them where you at.
Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
What is this mark that the angel has been given the order to put on the men that sigh and cry for the abominations? Shapat?
Mark of the Lord.
So what is it? What does it look like? Is it the little lightning bolt like Harry Potter got on his head? Is it a literal, you know what I'm saying? What is it? You understand? Is it, what type of mark is it? I want to know. Is it a tattoo that the prophets of God have to get on their forehead?
It's embedding the idea of the commandments in his mind.
Say it again.
Embedding the idea of the commandments in his mind.
You on to it. You on to it. Not quite, but you on to what the mark really is. Anybody else? What is the mark? Go ahead, sis. That's first of all what you have to understand. It's protection, and it's not a literal mark. It's the reason why the Lord is putting this mark on his prophets, because in this time period, what's going to happen is that everything around in this society is going to fall. Everybody that you know in the world is going to die. They're going to suffer. And as it happens, everything collapses around you. You're going to be in here unscathed. That's the first thing you have to understand. This is to indicate these people are protected. Precept.
Was
Go ahead.
Was when we was in Egypt and all the plagues was happening and it happened to us?
Yes, there's a better one. Hurt not the oil and the wine. That's where you want to go. Hurt not the oil and the wine. That's what this is. This is protection. Now, this mark of protection on the forehead, what does it look like? Since the mark of the beast is the microchip, what microchip is the angel of God putting into the prophets, the people that follow the Lord? Bakwash?
It's a few things. If you're a young man getting in all black, it's not eating pork. It's not going to celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays, like stuff like that. Not being whoremongers, not being whores.
That's exactly what it is. The mark is not a literal mark. And you need to understand the mark of the beast. There is an ideology, a doctrine that's going to save you when everybody that you know is going to be destroyed. And that's the truth. You understand? And the angels putting this mark of protection on these people and not on everybody else. This is further proof that that mark in the mark of the beast is not a literal mark. If it is, then this mark would have to be literal. So if the mark of the beast is a microchip, what microchip is the angel of God put in the prophets? What you'll see is it's not a microchip at all. Give me who got Revelations 14:1.
Come. Book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000.
Somebody who doesn't know what is, if you're online, if you never heard this before, what are the 144,000? What are the 144,000? Let me give them online a chance real quick, Shabbat. I want a good Christian, a good God-fearing, Jesus-loving Christian to answer, what is the 144,000? Because I can tell you what I remember being taught in the church, what it is. Go ahead, Bakwash.
I heard someone say that 144,000 is the number of people that will actually get into heaven. After that number is reached, no one else can get into heaven.
Oh, that's the Christian doctrine, brother. You heard right. That's what I heard too. Not that that's right, but you heard what this taught in the church. That's what I was taught, brother. That only 144,000 out of 6 billion people on the earth is the only one God is choosing to go to heaven. And I remember as a kid, I said, now, I'm pretty decent at math. And if my math is mathing right, that don't sound like a lot of people gonna make it. And it does something to you in the Christian church when you think, okay, if only 144,000 are gonna make it, what does it do? If you're a Christian, what spirit does it put you in, Shabbat?
It deters you to not even try.
The same reason, the same way they say, well, only Jesus is perfect. You can't be perfect. Only Jesus is perfect. Well, why the hell I'm trying? 144,000. I don't know about you. In the world, I'm like, I'm not making it. You understand? If only 144,000 is going to make it to heaven, I'm not as arrogant, you understand, to think that I'm going to be part of that number. When the saints go marching in, you understand? I'm not going to be in that number. The reality is that's not what the 144,000 is. Let me get Dawada first.
It gives you the spirit to make excuses.
That's it. You understand? It deters you for even trying in the first place. You understand? Go ahead, Shapap.
If only 144,000 make it, I've been messed up.
Yeah, we done. Brother, we was done for. If that's the case, you understand? I'm getting high. You told me 144,000 is making it. I'm not even in the next 144,000 if you were to do another one. You understand? Go ahead, Bakwash.
Florida, Israel says the government body who will be running the world.
That's exact. Give him a hand. And he knows that because he's been in here before. That's all. He's been in these classes before because nobody else knows what this means. Your fake Israelite groups don't know what this means. The 144,000 is the ruling body, the government in the new kingdom that Christ is going to establish on the earth. The Christian church also teaches that what? Heaven is in the sky, and you only can get heaven once you die. What spirit does that put you in if you hear that in the church? And so I was the only one that was Christian before. No sweat. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what I was taught, what spirit put me in. If we have to get heaven to die, I'm going to race to die. So that's why it's easy for us to overdose. That's why it's easy for you to put yourself in situations where you get shot at, where you live a life where you get STDs and all types of, you're just putting yourself in harm's way because really you're running to die, but you're too much of a coward to put the gun in your mouth and just get there quicker, just to go to heaven and see Jesus. The reality is heaven is not in the sky. You don't get there when you die. The same way you don't go to hell after you die. Go ahead, brother.
Salaki, I was gonna say, they don't really believe it because when you do Trey from around, they wait and shot about 6-7 people. He dies, and then they put wings on him.
Yeah, right. If you really believed in heaven and hell after you died, Trey And Shaquan should have pitchforks and horns on their t-shirts because they were demons in the neighborhood. You understand? But the reality is Trey, Shaquan, Queen Elizabeth, Michael Jackson, they didn't go to heaven or hell. You understand? Go ahead.
It's like Ray.
Yeah, Ray and them. They not in heaven. And he's not looking down on you. He's not looking up at you. You understand? They are, depending on when the Lord chooses, back on the earth. Or they're awaiting to be put back into the earth in new bodies because reincarnation is real. Heaven and earth are conditions on, heaven and hell are conditions on the earth. Go ahead, Bakwash.
There's someone online that gave a precept. From Egypt to Israel, Revelation 7:4, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed in 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Right. Once again, this 144,000 is 12,000 men. Sorry, sisters. You understand? In Christ's kingdom, there's going to be perfect order. You understand? God's government is going to be men, and it's not a slight to sisters. It's only because this society is truly against women that you think that you have to do what men do. You understand? That's because this society hates women, and they hate women. The proof of that is they don't tell women the truth. You understand? They lie. They teach you to lie to women. They teach you to cater to women when that is the last thing a woman needs. You understand? You should tell a woman the truth. You should tell a woman what she needs to better herself. That's love. I have a daughter, and I don't lie to my daughter. That's the wrong shoe. Switch the shoes. That's the wrong foot. But if you follow this society, oh, it's okay. That's what you want to do. It's right because you want to do it right. No, that's the wrong. That's shoes on the wrong foot. Switch them. Or no, you shouldn't talk like that. Say it nicer. That's love. When you love somebody, you correct them. This society doesn't love women because they teach women now to not love the things that the Lord put them here to do. What is more honorable than a sister being a wife to one man? What is more honorable than a sister being a mother? What is more honorable than a sister being a righteous, virtuous sister? Anyways, a whole different topic for a different class. The ruling government will be 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes on earth. You understand? That's what the 144,000 is. Let's go back to Revelations 14:1. Salakia.
Revelations chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion.
Who is this lamb that stood on Mount Zion? Dawadah? Yahweh. Is Christ standing on a mountain?
Nah.
What's going on here?
He's ruling.
Give him a hand. I didn't think you was gonna get it. Whenever you read about mountains in the Bible, mountains and hills, it's usually unless it's a literal mountain, it's synonymous with governments. Christ is standing on Mount Zion. You understand? Christ is going to be in charge of the government, and underneath Christ, he's going to appoint 12,000 Black, Hispanic, and Native American men from each tribe to rule under him. You understand? You had your hair raised? God, boy, you too up? Okay, no sweat. That's what it signifies. Mount Zion is the Lord's holy mountain, and that's where the government will dwell. The government of the earth will dwell from. So let's keep reading.
And with him, 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Having his father's name written in their foreheads. What does this mean?
Written in their minds.
Give me a little bit more. Having his father's name written in their foreheads.
That's all that we know.
I need a little bit more. Shapat.
Having the truth written in their foreheads. Their father's name will be his reputation.
A little bit more. Let's read what we just read again. This Christ being in charge of the government. Now he's appointing men underneath him.
The Most High will be the only God.
For time's sake, they're now given the authority that comes with them following the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why the Father's name is being written on their foreheads. The same way, if you're a police officer, what indicates you have the power is you wear that badge. Understand? That badge signifies I come by the order of the state. You understand? Or better yet, if you in Esau's military, you wear that flag, and that means I'm coming by order of the president. You understand? Even though the president, he didn't give the orders specifically, but you are underneath the president's orders. That's why in the Esau's military, if you didn't know, they called the president the chief in command. He is the chief, the top of the branch. The father's name being written on the foreheads is now us getting the authority in our positions. You understand? The authority, the same way. That's what it is. I'm going to break it down even further. Keep reading where you are.
And I heard a voice from heaven.
No, read that part again if you could, brother.
And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their forehead.
Right. Once again, fake Israelites, you'll see a lot of them. They'll take ashes or they'll take some type of whatever they're using, and they'll write the anagram for the Most High's name. You've probably seen it many times. YHWH. You'll see a lot of fake Israelites write that on their foreheads, or they'll write it in the Hebrew, the YHWH, because they read the scripture and they think it's literal. When that's not what it is. You writing that on your forehead does nothing. You have no authority, you have no power, and you look stupid. You understand? You look absolutely retarded. You understand? Because that's not what this means. You don't understand the Bible. You should come learn the Bible from brothers who actually study and follow the Bible. Let's get Revelations 13 and 15.
Revelations chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
This right here is the image of the beast. This is it right here. You ask a Christian, once again, brothers got to get in the habit of when you debate, you really have to do a lot of debating, a lot of talking. Just ask questions. And I think because I'm genuinely curious, I do it well. I'm like, well, you say that. I really want to know what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Bro, break that down for me. And you'll get to realize, and the more they talk and explain, they get to hear how stupid they sound. Like, you know what? I got to catch this bus. So I'll see you. Ask a Christian, what is the image of the beast? What is the image? You know, they'll pull up, because we could pull up the image of Baphomet. Let me show you what every Christian is scared of. You watching YouTube videos and slowing it down and playing it at half speeds, trying to catch Beyonce and Jay-Z doing this, and you trying to find people's faces turning into reptilian. You're so enamored with conspiracy theories that you're ignoring the actual conspiracy that has been taken against God's people. Go ahead. That's what the Baphomet is. We're gonna get it right here. The image of that, the man sitting with his legs crossed with a goat head, human arms, and then goat legs. Christians see that and you say, oh, that's the image of the beast. That's Satan. That's the devil. When that image.
Can you describe that one more time?
Which one?
Well, what you just said.
So he has a goat head, a human torso, and goat legs, and his legs are crossed. Go ahead.
Well, without the legs crossed, doesn't that describe one of the angels?
No.
One of the angels with the four heads, and they have feet of
cloven foot.
Cloven foot.
No, not this image. Not even to say it was similar. Nah, not this image. Go ahead, Shapat.
It's the face of an ox.
Right, not a goat. Face of an ox, a lion, something, and two other things I can't remember. But this image of Baphomet right here is what Christians will say. This is the image of the beast. My question is, how does this fit this scripture? Read that again. Young man Matthew.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
You let me know who was killed serving this image of the Baphomet. You understand? Who was colonized with the image of this man goat? Nobody. Nobody was ever killed in masses with this image. Go ahead, Shapat. Oh, you had your hand first for him? Okay. So like, go ahead, Bakwash. You got the image up?
This one is extremely slow.
Let me see if I can pull it
It's
up.
not loading up here.
Yeah, it is lagging a little bit. No sweat. I just want them to see it because everybody, once you see it, you'll know it. Like, oh yeah. Go ahead, Upper God Boy. What'd you have, Mighty Man? No, I don't know. I got to drink that after class. I don't know what that would do to me. The water though, priest. Where we at? So we got the image. So this image was given power now to make those who don't serve it be killed. For time's sake, because gonna put the image. This is the real image of the beast. This image has been used to colonize the entire earth. Right now, in Nigeria, Nigerians think this is Jesus. An African nation of dark-skinned people think this is Jesus. Right now in China, who was at camp when that Chinese man came up and he said China didn't have a religion? Because you was there, you remember. A Chinese man came up to the camp and he was asked, what is the religion of China? And he said, China doesn't have a religion, which is roughly vaguely true. They don't have a state religion. How the United States is Christian, the UK is Christian, Italy is Catholic. They don't have that. They have communism. But you know what he understood? He still said this was Christ. A Chinese boy who doesn't even have a religion in his country, an official religion, still called this Christ. Children in Afghanistan and Iraq who supposed to serve Allah see this image and say this is Christ. Now that doesn't mean they believe, but they still will say this is Christ. This is the image of the beast. You understand? The Bible calls the white man the beast, and that's the image of the beast. And with that image is how they've been able to push their philosophy on everybody through the Christian doctrine, right? So let's keep reading. That's Revelations 13 and 15. That's the whole verse.
That's the whole verse.
Let's get Ezekiel 34 and 28. Oh, this is the image right here, the water bakwash. That image you just seen, that's the Baphomet. You understand what you think is the image of the beast, which is not that. Go ahead, Young Matthew.
Salah, you said Ezekiel 24, 34, and 28.
34 and 28.
Come. Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 28. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them.
Neither shall the what?
The beast of the land devour them.
Who is the beast of the land? Shapak?
Heathens.
The heathens. Go ahead, Abquash. No sweat. This is letting you know that when it talks about the beast, this is not talking about an actual creature like you think it is. You see this half human, half goat man, and you think that's a beast because it's a creature. When that's not what it's referring to. You understand? Black people are not being killed by beasts. We're not being killed by lions. We're not being killed by sharks. You understand? Which are actual beasts. In this context, when it says the mark of the beast, it's referring to the mark of a person who is a beast to God's people. And that's the so-called white man. You understand? Keep reading.
But they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Read it from the top.
Come. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them.
We shall no more be a prey to the heathen. It tells you right there who the beast is. It says we should no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast devour them, which lets you know that this is talking about a people. There is a people, a race of people that are considered the beast. You understand? The same way we've been referred to as animals as well. Prey to the beast. Keep reading.
But they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore.
Right. Give me Revelations. Come on. 13 and 16. 13 and 16.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great,
rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand.
So now, once again, we just read verse 15 that this image has been given power. This image has been given power, and he calls us all, small and great, rich and poor, bond and free. You understand? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's too wild. Right? That's what the Bible is saying. Read it again if you could.
Come. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Right. So, thumb. So now you got to ask, all right, thumb. You got to ask Christians or fake Israelites, what is this mark that's going into in our hand? What is this mark that goes to our hand? And of course, they'll tell you it's the microchip. And then this with logic, you can ask them, well, what is that going to do? A microchip going into my hand, what is that now going to do for the white man? Me having a microchip in my hand. And of course, they'll say, well, they're going to go read more in the verse. You're not going to be able to buy and sell. And we're going to break that down, what that means. But when it says the mark into your hand, this is not talking about a literal mark. It's not talking about a microchip. It's talking about what we just read it before. What you do with your hands. You understand? And through this image, there have been a people that have done the philosophy of this image with their hands. I'll break it down. If you serve in the United States military, United States police, you serve in law enforcement, in the police force, you're a correctional officer, if you sell drugs, if you rob and steal, you have the mark of the beast in your hand, because what your hand does comes from the ideology of the beast. You further the ideology of the beast. You understand? Like brothers who sell drugs, you say F the police when you work with the police, when you sell drugs. You don't even know it. You can't say F the police and now sell the white man's drugs. You work for the same beast that the police officers work for. You are furthering now white supremacy. If you are in the United States military, you go and literally kill people to push the image, to push the ideology on those people. That's how that's how Christianity was spread, not through love, not through the love of Jesus, not through the patience of the saints. It was spread through bloodshed, through men who have the mark of the beast in their hands. Go ahead, Dawada.
So like the same way Islam was spread with the hand, like forced by the hand of the sword.
Exactly. Both of those religions have violent histories. And that's why I always love when Christians always get so self-righteous about how violent Islam is. Well, last time I checked, Christianity was the majority religion on the face of the earth. So clearly you were more violent because you won. You won. You out-violented the Muslims, because Christianity is the number one religion on the face of the earth. I don't know what Muhammad looks like, but I know who this is. You understand? I don't know what he looked like. You could show me a picture right now, and I'll say I don't know. Is that DJ Khaled? I don't know, but I know who that is because Christianity won, and they didn't win through love. They didn't win through God loving everybody, and all the things that you think is associated with Christianity. They won through violence, and that violence came from men who have the mark of the beast in their hands. Keep reading.
Let's start at 16.
If you could.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their forehead.
Or in their foreheads. What's the mark in your forehead? Shapat? Christianity. You understand? You have it in your hand. You are now using your power, your might. Your actions are pushing forth the mark of the beast. If you have it in your forehead, you have it. You are Christian pastors, politicians. The things that you say now further white supremacy. You understand? You have it in your mind. The mark of the beast is not some microchip. It's not a 5G tower. It's not a vaccine. It's the thing that you have every time you go to that church and you say nothing when children are molested, when black people are suffering. You have the mark of the beast. Many black and Hispanic police officers, you some of the worst police officers to deal with on the police force because you have the mark of the beast in your hand. You always trying to prove that you down with the police force and you one of the good ones. You a good nigga. So what do? You use your hands now to further white supremacy by oppressing your own people. You Christian pastors, you have it in your foreheads because you lie in the churches and tell the Christians and tell blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans everything that God says not to do. You say God says the law is done away with, when God says the law shall never be done away with. You further white supremacy by teaching black people to sin against God. Because the moment we sin against God, the Lord puts us underneath white people. He puts us underneath these oppressors. The mark of the beast is not a literal mark. If it is a literal mark, and that will have to mean that we should have marks now. We should all have marks. Keep reading. I forgot the part I forgot to break down. Keep reading.
And that no man might buy or sell.
That no man might buy or sell. This is for so long. And I used to believe this too as a Christian. I used to sit on YouTube for about 5 hours every night. I used to get high. I used to wait till I was nice and high. You understand? And I would watch YouTube and just go deep into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. And you know, I'm thinking I'm putting myself up on all the knowledge. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna know everything that's going on. And really, it just made me more confused and useless to do anything worthwhile. I know that you believe that this is saying that there's going to come a time where you can't go to the stores, you can't buy food, you're not going to be able to get your basic necessities. That's not what this is talking about. Once again, the Bible does not talk about your personal problems. The Bible is talking about nations. When it says buying and selling, this is referring to nations not being able to buy and sell unless they take on the philosophies of the beast, which is Christianity. How do you see that today? Sanctions. The United States puts sanctions on nations that disagree or that don't play ball with them. They did it to Haiti. You understand? All the white nations came together and made sure Haiti remained poor all the way up until today. You understand? They don't tell you how the United States invaded Haiti and occupied Haiti for God knows how long. And they all came together and made sure that Haiti did not economically prosper as a nation because Haiti had the nerve to not want to be slaves. You understand? They didn't play ball. They refused Christianity. You understand? Go ahead, Shapai.
Okay. Well, sir, I mean, I was a conspiracy nut before I came in the truth.
I think we all were, brother. I think that's just the wave right now. It's just everybody conspiracies. Go ahead.
Okay. And, you know, besides the 5G towers and all that, my mark of the beast, when I would tell people what the mark of the beast was your social security number.
Oh, you reminded me about that one because you go ahead. Salak, let me cut you off, priest. Go ahead.
It said it was in your forehead. And your frontal lobe is where your memory is at. And I would ask people, you remember what's your social security number? And you remembered it. So that was on your forehead. And then you can't buy and sell, you can't operate, get a job or nothing without the social security number. So that was my mark of the beast that I was saying.
See now, brother, now if I was high, that would have blew my mind. Well, brother, if I was high, if I was good and high and not in here, that would have blew my mind. The problem is, it's foolishness. And I've heard it before too. The social security number, see, we all property. They exchange, they use our social security number. See, you're not even a real person, brother. You are an entity. That's why when you go to court, your name is in all caps. And who gives a damn? You understand? That has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. That's not what it is. You understand? Go ahead, Spot.
I ain't saying like that.
No, that's how conspiracy niggas sound to me. That ain't say you sounded like that, but every nigga to me sounds like that. Muslims, conspiracy niggas, conscious community cats, Christians, they all say, brother, let me tell you about this, brother. That's how they sound. They sound real slimy to me. You understand? Real greasy. It makes me not feel right. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say what I was stuck on was William Cooper.
Oh, yeah, behold a pale horse. You see, I know all about it, brother.
I was on
I was gonna buy the book. I couldn't afford it at the time. Lord, that's the mark of the beast, brother. You trying to read about the beast when you acting out the beast, the mark of the beast. You stole. You understand? But okay, once again, it shows you just how much we didn't get taught in the churches. You understand? Like if we were getting taught in the churches, there would be no room for us now to indulge in senseless conspiracy theories. Like many of us were searching, and that's what it is. Our people are searching and yearning for something that makes sense. So now we turn to these alternative theories on reality that to try to give us some sense of why things are the way they are, when it really just makes you more confused. The Bible is wisdom. It's wisdom above all wisdom. And the scriptures say wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. You understand? Like you cannot get caught up in what seems like knowledge. You can't be open-minded. That's the thing. The society teaches you that you're supposed to be open-minded. You got to be open-minded and receptive and accepting of other things. When that's gay, you should be closed-minded. You understand? You should be absolutely closed-minded once you know the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because what else is there for you to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Christ is black. The Jews are black. The white man's the devil. What am I being receptive to past this point? You understand? Unless you want me to be receptive so you can lie to me, which is the mark of the beast, the philosophy of Christianity. Once again, the buying and selling is stocks. It's the world exchange, the world stock exchange. And if any, historically, the United States puts sanctions on anybody who goes against the United States. They've done it many times. They're doing it right now with who? Russia. You understand? Even though Russia is a Christian nation, but Russia, they don't believe in the same Christianity as America per se. Like the Russians still know that all the icons are black. That's why the book that shows you all the black icons is called the Russian icons. That comes from when the Christian church split into two in the Western and Eastern Empire. The Eastern Empire was still ruled by black people in Russia. You understand? The Western part of the empire was ruled by white people, by white emperors. And that's the Christianity that we have in America today. You understand? And Russia refuses to play ball with America. And America puts sanctions on them. The United Nations puts sanctions on them. And, they're not allowed to sell their wheat. Nobody is buying their wheat. Nobody they're not allowed to sell anything. That's what it's referring to. You understand? Keep reading, young man Matthew.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast.
Right.
Or the number of his name.
Right. The number of his name. Go ahead, Shapat. No, not yet. No sweat. But for time's sake, what is it?
666.
Right. The 666. Many of y'all are so superstitious. And I had to fight myself on doing it sometimes too. It's a constant ongoing battle. I remember once I'm online and I see a comment had 665 likes. And I wanted to like the comment. And I was like, oh, but that's going to be 666. And then I remember, nigga, like that, you know what I'm saying? That means nothing. It means nothing, but it shows you just how ingrained in us that Christianity is, the conspiracies. 666 is nothing more. The 666 is nothing more than the ruling government that runs the earth now. That's it. The 666 men that control what goes on this earth today. You know what I'm saying? And that's not far-fetched to believe. The United Nations, forget about it. How many people are in the United Nations? There's 128 countries represented. Was a delegation from each country or a couple of delegates from each country. Forget about it. But 666 is the number of man, the number that rules this society on this earth right now. You understand? And that's the image of the beast. The white man, he runs the earth. The Bible says in Job, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. And those who don't play ball with the United Nations, who go against the United States, you'll see that they're not able now to operate as a nation functionally. Go ahead, Shapat.
It says 193.
193 delegates in the United Nations or nations?
Oh, you say member states.
Okay. Well, it's the people that run this earth are 666. There's much more corporate. You gotta remember the private corporations And really, that's what it all boils down to. These private corporations are really pulling all the strings. And all these politicians work for corporations in reality. You understand? And those are the ones who can make the decisions on what happens on the earth. And the Lord knows it, and he's going to reveal the secrets of Esau the more this place comes falling down. You understand? It was beautiful to watch Donald Trump expose Hillary Clinton and all these things. And the more the white man fights, the more of their secrets are going to come out. That's why I love when Democrats and Republicans go back and forth. Because in them going back and forth, white people start telling the truth. And them telling the truth, you'll find out that we've been in their crosshairs on both sides. They'll start telling you, well, tell them about how you been poisoning the niggas' water. What? You understand? Well, tell them about how you put the abortion clinics in their neighborhoods. What? And the more they argue, the more the Lord reveals just how much both sides are devils. And they both are beasts, and we shouldn't trust the beast. We should run from Christianity. We should run from drug addiction. We should run from everything that the Bible tells us not to follow, because it is the influence of the beast. If you're not influenced by the Lord, you're influenced by the beast. You understand? If you're watching this class, get in class, man. It's high time that Israel wakes up out their sleep. If you're Black, Hispanic, or Native American, I know you watching you sitting at home or wherever you are, you watching, and many of us had the same thing. I watched for 3 years before I finally came in. You understand? It's time for you to come in, man. You never know. Tomorrow, your entire situation might change. You understand? And you'll look back and say, I should have went in when I had the mind to go in. When something told me to come in. Don't be that brother. Don't be that sister. Come in while you have the chance, because mercy and grace runs out. Go ahead, Shapat.
So like I find it a little spooky that I got all the numbers of all the stats of the United Nations, but they won't say how many people.
Hey, brother, they're just not showing it, Shapat. That's it, bro. Don't turn that to conspiracy, Shapat. He said, see, look, there it go. They're not even gonna tell you. It's probably 666. They're probably not showing it. Who knows? You know, the Bible tells us what we need to know. And what you need to know as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is that you are God's people and you have laws you have to follow. We have laws we have to adhere to. We have a standard that we can't deviate from. And that standard is what's going to free our people. It's what's going to save us. It's what's going to keep us protected as this place falls. You understand? Come in here and get protection. Come get wisdom. Come get counsel. Come get everything you need in here, man. With that, we're going to pass the class over to Precinct Officer Shapat Dayat.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We're the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yahanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. It means tenth in Hebrew, and is pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give it to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, memorial of blowing of the trumpets, first day of the 7th month, Sunday the 25th, September 2022. You can find us in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24 through 25. Remind Akim and Akwaki to check on social media, such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headband, and scarf. And with that, I say Amayim, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel, Mighty Shabbat, Mighty Barak,
Yahanna, Shimmy Al-Shabrak Adam.
Yahanna, Shimmy Al-Shabrak Adam.
Yad Yamatah, Saul, which means to turn. Since you may stand, Amayim. We'll give a courtesy salute to the sister, men of Israel, Mighty Shabbat, Mighty Barak, Yahanna, Yahanna, class dismissed.
Also, too, make sure y'all tune in to Commander Johnny Yahanna's The Black Watch live right now. Commander Johnny Yahanna's The Black Watch live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Also, tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But he's live right now. Y'all go ahead, tune in, like, share the stream. With that, shalom, Israel.